So the first things that I wanted to talk about were, I want to talk about human honeybee relationship a little bit and like how we're relating to the hive as we're going into it. So I think that thus far I think I've just talked about like ergonomics and what it looks like to move and how you can move your body going into a hive. But I want to talk about like the intentionality a little bit more. Oh, I've talked about like planning. So we've done some initial apiary action planning. We've thought about like what our general intentions are for why we want to keep bees and what the objectives of our learning are, etc. I think I want to just go like one layer deeper on that and think about how we want to be relating to honeybees as we're working with them. I think that a lot of us come to beekeeping, myself included, from like a fear and curiosity sort of space where we're like, this is this like amazing magical creature, but also it can sting you in the face. And so
I was wondering, did you actually get stung in the face this morning?
Yeah, I got stung in the face twice this morning.
Yeah, you handled that pretty well.
A new look for 2020 season for me is that I can get stung in the face now without like swelling a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not good. It's gonna make me more brazen than ever before, I think. So
you get, there's a way in which the body gets used to it.
yeah, when you get stung a lot.
Yeah.
You do have like a little bit of like
every
rash.
day. Yeah, I'll get red, but I won't get like really
inflamed,
swollen. So that's great because it really freaks people out when you look like that and it's a global pandemic.
You should try. Yeah.
You go into the store and people are like, "Oh my god,
that must be a symptom of COVID I've never heard of yet." That's like the toe is only on her face.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a lot of us come to it from like with a little bit of fear and some curiosity or some mix of those things because we don't know much about them. But I just want to think about how we're relating to them, and to do that, I think I want to focus in on like one part of the honeybee hive. So what I'm going to do is give each of you a queen bee that's in a cage by herself. It's warm enough right now that she should be fine temperature-wise, like she won't overheat or get cold.
Okay.
But you want to keep her in the shade. So don't put her in a spot where there's direct sunlight because there's nothing in here to protect her from the sun. So your task as a new beekeeper is to protect her from the sun.
Okay.
These bees are from a study that I'm doing about which of the different queen rearing strategies is most effective.
Mm-hmm.
And we're essentially looking at 10-day grafting. This is like intermediate to advanced beekeeping. So which is when you take an egg out of a cup, put it into a queen cell, and put several of those queen cells into a big hive, and they raise those baby queens for 10 days. Then we're looking at 2-day grafting, which is when we do the same thing, but we only have the hive raise the queens for 2 days, and then we take them out. And then we're looking at just like taking the bee's queen and letting them raise their own queen by themselves, self-directed, with no human intervention. And we're basically just trying to figure out what methods are most effective, because we're trying to push on the system that says that you have to have a ton of expertise to like raise good quality queens. So because we like to shake shit up, we have raised lots of these bees, and we're gonna trial them out. We're giving them to other beekeepers, and there's people have to keep track of them for the next year and see how they do. So the pink ones are from what's called walkaway splits. They're raised by the bees themselves. And the purple ones are from what we're trialing, which is the 48-hour or 2-day queen cell. So pink, walkaway, purple, 48-hour. What I want you to do with this queen is just spend a little bit of time like sitting with her and observing her. The best place to see her is through these top holes here. And I want you to just do some noticing of like her legs, of her wings, of her torso, of her thorax, which is that long part of her, and take in what she's doing, how she's behaving, how she's moving. Queens move really differently than workers. And even when they're in these cages, they continue to move and act very differently. So I think it's a good exercise to just familiarize yourself with how the queen is moving, and also this is an exercise in just like noticing that there's this really big like superorganism that we as humans have this long relationship with, but then there's also these like individual insects that are really crucial to that superorganism that we...
What I asked folks to do in class today was spend a little bit of time with a queen bee. Just noticing the difference between a queen and workers in both the movement patterns and her appearance. This is a queen in a cage that we're going to take out so we can get a closer look at her. So this is our queen. I just want to notice she's larger, she's got a longer thorax than our worker bees. She moves slower generally, unless she's being chased or she feels she's in danger, and then she may move much more erratically and quickly. Hey y'all, so we're gonna look at this hive, which is 3 of these 5 frame boxes high. And we talked a lot today about density of bees. So I want to look at the density of the bees in this hive. If you look into the frames, look in between the frames, you shouldn't be able to see past the bees. There should be so many bees spilling out that we can't see shade. Lots of bee heads and bee butts. Oops. When a hive is really densely populated, the bees are also covering the tops of the bars or the frames, like here. This hive in particular is a survivor stock queen from our genetic lines here at They Keep Bees. Initially from Kirk Webster's Russian survivor stock. She was a small mating swarm that swarmed last summer and set up shop in a 5-frame box that we gave 1 under super to for the winter. She survived the whole Northeast winter, and she has since given us about like 5 or 10 of these frames worth of brood, and she's got 2 of these boxes, as you can see. The reason there's so many bees in the air is because these bees actually have a top entrance just here, which they adapted. So this is the original box. It's actually full of comb. So what we are going to do now is we are going to make some splits. We're going to look for the queen in this hive, and we're actually going to cut these combs out and band them into frames so we can take advantage of the wax building season of the spring and get the bees to band those into the frames, and we can use them in a Langstroth hive. Alright, so we're going to get to work here. So, okay, so we are going to give this hive a little bit of smoke. And this is the most populous hive that we've inspected in class thus far. but I think that it's valuable for you to be able to see what a big hive looks like, hear what it sounds like, and see what it'll look like on inspection, because some of you are going to have really different sized hives. So I am going to show you this hive frame by frame as we go through it. Woo. All right, on this frame we have nectar, we have new wax, that's that lighter colored wax, and we have honey that is starting to get capped. So nectar here is open and capped. Honey here is getting stored for later food use. That's on the outer edge, so they're capping already. Honey that they brought in from this spring and early summer forage. Dandelions, clover, a little bit of wild rose out there right now, and black locust. We got a black locust flow here in Western Mass this year. Next we have a beautiful frame of brood, and on the outer edges of that we have pollen, as well as, so we have pollen here. And up here in this corner, we have nectar and some more of that capped honey. Great. So on this capped brood frame, I'm checking for my queen. See if I see her on there. I usually have to hold the frames just above my eye line so that I can get a good look into the frame and on the frame. And it's also like a nice way to look up and stretch your back a little bit, because you're looking down so much when you're beekeeping into the hive. Frame with open brood, capped brood, full up with nectar. This whole hive smells like a giant wild rose right now. It's wild. A lot of bees, so in order to put these down without squishing bees, I gently rock the frames before I set them down on the rim in the box that the frame edges rest on. Then I can push them ever so slightly with my fingertips. Hey y'all. It's a whole frame of pollen. Oh, so delicious. So, frame is full of pollen right here. Oh, I want to capture that for you.